Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, James Protin. Every week I will be sharing the experiences that have defined my journey and talking with people who have their own powerful story to tell. It's about doing better and being better in life, business, and all things in between. The visually inclined can catch us on YouTube, or you can check us out on just about every podcast platform. My friend, Eric Chandler, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
In your town.
Yes, sir. Canonsburg.
Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. I love this town. I'm a Washington County kid, right? Mm-hmm. Born and raised down the other side of the county, down, on the river. But been around here a lot. Wow. There's so much going on in this town.
Redevelopment is going on. Businesses are coming in. Smaller businesses are coming in. People are buying, buildings, rehabbing buildings. So it's great, man. I love what collectively the Borough Council's doing, Lisa Scarmese, what she's doing. What's cool is people from Canonsburg want to help redevelop Canonsburg.
Yeah.
So it's been cool. And then Friday night, let me tell you, it was just electric. Like, we had the Friday night football game.
There you go.
And then, the restaurants were open. Mm-hmm. So you got your food. So it was cool.
That is so cool. Plus, you have like what every city in the country wants, a downtown stadium.
We do have
stadium's right here.
Yes.
It's walking distance to the business district. It doesn't get much better than that.
It doesn't. It's so sweet, man. And especially to win on Friday night. Yeah,
there you go.
That's even better.
And that's Canonsburg's a big school district, 6A level,
6A
in sports and in the PIAA and WPIAL. But and you're a coach.
I am a coach. I am the running backs coach and the leadership development coach.
That's what I want to get into because, knowing you the way I do, and even just the way you carry yourself and the way you conduct yourself, I think of two words: leadership and mentorship. And when you're talking about, I've been a high school coach, basketball, but when you're dealing with young men, particularly at that age, 15, 16, 17 years old, that's an impressionable age and can be a tough age for a lot of young men.
It can be. I mean, for me, it's really I feel like I'm obligated to give back because I had mentors in my life that poured into me. Growing up, I had, my mom and dad were home. My dad did a great job. And then after high school and getting into some college is when I went crazy, when I went buck wild. Like,
there you go.
You're
not alone in that.
Yeah, you're right. So found a mentor, ran a mentor who helped me develop into the man I am today.
Okay.
And other guys that helped me, and I feel like an obligation to give back because, I was that guy who felt alone by himself, didn't know where to turn, and no one understood what I was going through. So yeah, I have to give back, and that's how I carry myself through everything I do. Is always whether it's leadership, mentoring, or coaching.
Oh, that's excellent. Now, you spent over 20 years in corporate America. You have that resume.
Done Monte Foods, yes.
And then you decided to just bail.
Yeah, I decided that, Del Monte treated me well. Del Monte, great company to work for. But it was just, I felt like there was more to life than just the 9 to 5, if you will.
Sure.
So started my own coaching and consulting business a year now, 5 clients.
Congratulations.
And we'll continue to thank you and continue to go strong. But it's all about, not only doing that, but, mentoring the boys on the football team is so important to me.
Yeah, and touching on football for one more minute.
Sure.
There are not a lot of high school teams, regardless of level, that have a leadership or character coach.
Correct.
Now, I realize you coach the running backs as well, but a lot of your focus from our conversations in the past is on that leadership piece.
Absolutely. So right now we have 5 captains, and I work with the 5 captains. We meet once a week, and I'll take them through, some leadership principles. And then every day it's checking on them, making sure, hey, did you guys check with your players? In addition to that, I also have players come to me who may not feel comfortable talking to some of the other coaches, or if we have issues within the team.
So we do a one-on-one thing with players?
We do one-on-one. Okay. I do one-on-one with players. We also do group sessions with players. And it's really, I'm there for even sessions with the coaches, right?
Yeah.
of how to handle, a kid, I shouldn't say a difficult kid, but just how to handle certain situations in the locker room and on the field. So yeah, it's fun, man. I mean, I'm doing what I'm created to do.
Well, and that's a great observation, because how much does your faith figure into your decision to go and walk this entrepreneurial path? Where does that come into play?
Yeah, my faith plays a big part in it. And actually, at my church, Central Assembly, I was in charge of the men's ministry there.
Okay.
So from that point was another way of me giving back and helping men know that they're not alone, and how they can be better husbands, fathers,
Sure.
in the community. So it plays a big part, man. I mean, without my faith, I don't know, I'd probably be dead somewhere.
I think a lot of us can say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's been a lifeline for me in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
I get that. And, you scream leader to me. But it takes a lot. Some people think it takes a lot of crazy, but it takes a lot to step up and put your name on a ballot. Yeah. Especially with everything you got going on. You got family, and all those things. You're into all this stuff. But yet you put your name on a ballot to become a council person in a small borough in Pennsylvania, which is arguably one of the hardest elected positions on earth.
Sure. Yeah. So with that, I decided it was, growing up in Canonsburg, and you'd walk down the street and you'd see, empty storefronts. And then my wife and I would go to the meetings, and you would hear council persons just arguing back and forth because you didn't vote for, or you said something to them and they were offended, and so they're voting no. So anyway, I'm like, these are the people that we've elected to represent us, and our town doesn't look any better. So it just felt an opportunity. It's like, you know what? It's time. It's time to step up. So I was approached about the position. I'm not a politician by any means. Never thought of myself as a politician. So it was like, okay.
Those are the best politicians, by the way.
Yeah. So it was really a common sense approach to everything we do. That's really, really what it is. And I've been fortunate. We have a great council. Council wants to work together. I mean, of course, everybody has their different opinions.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, everyone's working together, and that's the end goal, to make Canonsburg what it looks like today.
That's fantastic. And you're now council president.
Council president, yes, sir.
Which if people don't realize that, a lot of people focus on the position of mayor, which in a borough in Pennsylvania, the council president is really kind of the lead, or the ranking official. The mayor oversees certain things and really is a kind of an ambassador for the community within the constituency.
Yes. As far as council president, there's a heavy weight that I don't take lightly. But it's
a lot of responsibility.
It is a huge responsibility, working closely with the mayor, working closely with the borough manager, and just really making sure that we're on task, making sure that we're establishing processes. And I think that's what I found in this role. There were a lot of processes that we didn't have processes, or they were old processes. So it was getting in and creating some of those so that we can streamline. It was always what my saying was, even when I ran, was let's honor the past, let's streamline the present, and let's plan for the future.
Oh yeah, and that's fantastic, because there's a lot of history here.
Yes.
Right now, Canonsburg's clicking on all cylinders, man. I mean, not only from an administrative standpoint and what you're doing with the tax base and things like that, but the police department is top notch. The fire department is solid.
Yes.
Where all over our region, volunteer fire departments are struggling to get members. Yeah. But Canonsburg seems to be, staying status quo.
We are, and we want it. So the next goal is to get better, right? I never want to stay status quo. What I want to do is, we have established a baseline. Now let's build from there. How can we get better, right? How can we improve? So there's some things that we'll be working on to make Canonsburg even better.
And listen, the events that the borough does, and I know there's other organizations involved, not just the borough, but it's the borough events. the Oktoberfest is coming up, which is one of the biggest in in the country, and you've got the world famous 4th of July parade, Christmas. You just had the Tunnel to Towers race just this past weekend. Right?
We had this past weekend we had over 500 runners or walkers to participate, just runners and walkers to participate on a Saturday morning in Canonsburg at 7 a.m. I mean,
I did it last year. I wasn't available this year, but I did it last year.
It's
a great event.
I did. It was a great event,
and that's a national event. That's come to Canonsburg.
And the announcement they made Saturday was that this event raised more money than all the other Tunnel to Towers
even
runs.
New York City.
Yes, even New York City.
Yes. And you think about one of the largest July 4th parades in the state, one of the largest Oktoberfests. What is it about Canonsburg that's bringing? Because when you have a parade in Canonsburg, there's several thousand people. I mean, you don't think you're going to go in and watch a parade and go home. Because that's not happening.
Right. No, it's community, right? That's what I love about Canonsburg. It's all about community. When you talk to people about, let's take the 4th of July parade. When people talk about the 4th of July parade, I'm talking to older adults. They're like, when I was a kid, we sat in this spot. This is where my father brought me. I mean, it's just...
And it's legendary when people save their spot with the chairs and everything. I mean, that's just like, they decorate them.
They decorate, yes.
And that's turned into a contest in itself. That's become a thing.
It has, man. I mean, again, it's just so cool. It's all about community, right? People coming together and want to see their town do well.
That's fantastic. And you have Town Park up on a hill, which is like 100 years old?
Turned in July, it turned 100 years old. Yeah. Yes, and we had a big celebration. They had stuff going on all weekend, but it was a great celebration. Man, I mean, to think about it, 100 years old, a swimming pool that's 100 years old, and that's still functioning today. Yes,
functioning well. I mean, it's hard to believe that this is really the quintessential, kind of like Norman Rockwell version of small town America. It really is.
It is. Yeah, it is. I agree, man. I can't say enough about our people in Canonsburg. And, when you ask for volunteers come out. They want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. Yeah. And it's just so cool. And it shows, right? It shows. Yeah. You walk down the street. I mean, what I love when I walk down the street is on a Sunday morning driving through, people walking up and down the street. We got Grandpa Joe's. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. It does, with where we're at here, Chico Bocello are dear friends, and there's a new coffee shop right up the street, and you have a microbrewery right up the street, the Rusty Nail, and then Grandpa Joe's, and your daughter's just opening a photography studio right here in town.
Jasmine Powell Photography. She's getting ready to open up right on Jefferson Avenue. And it's been a dream for hers.
That's very cool.
So, we've been working and remodeling and stuff like that. But, yeah, she's doing her thing as well.
So how's my friend Julie doing?
Julie's doing well. She's at Kennywood. Yep.
Yeah, she's your lovely wife Julie worked with me at a previous engineering firm, and during my career, and that's kind of how we met. It's been a minute or two, but
it has been.
Yeah, that was really cool because she's just a great human being, and when I look at the two of you, you exude leadership. Even Julie she's one of those people that's not afraid to put herself out there and be first to do something.
And actually, she is on the school board. So 2 years ago, we ran together. What was cool about that is she's on the Canon McMillan school board. We ran together, so I was up for re-election, and she was first time running. So it was pretty cool to have her sign up and my sign up.
Yeah,
we ran together.
Really cool.
It was a sweet moment. But yeah, she's also a leader as well in the community. We're all about our community, man. We're all about giving back. We're all about leading and helping younger individuals come alongside of us, and help out wherever they can.
That is just absolutely cool because that's what we're all about here. That's what community is all about, and it's what made this part of the world great.
Absolutely.
I mean, it really is because Pittsburgh. It's just this big small town.
Yeah.
The neighborhoods and we feed off of all of that. And now we have with South Point over here, and I don't want to focus all of this on Canonsburg, but this is a large part of who you are and what you and Julie have invested in this community is a big part of your story.
Absolutely. It's a big part of my story. I mean, again, grew up in Canonsburg, wanted to get involved in Canonsburg, help redevelop Canonsburg, and we really want Canonsburg to be a destination, right? More importantly, I want our region to do well, right? The Washington County region, where people are coming to the Mon Valley, people are coming to Washington, Canonsburg, and if we're all doing well, man, that just imagine how much revenue we're generating by people coming from outside of of our county.
Yeah, and the county's doing great. We've got, obviously we have the casino, we've got the Marcellus Shell, and all that activity and development, and a lot of investment is coming into the county. But with that investment, with that success, comes that bright spotlight, right?
Yeah.
And that brings all the other things that the other counties and other places in the country are, they get jealous. Well, what about this? You got this. No place is perfect.
Right.
And I don't want,
Agree.
I don't want, Canonsburg has its share of issues and warts just like every other community.
Yeah.
And when you look at the county level, where I'm from, down at the other end of the county, along the Monongahela River, the Mon Valley, I mean, we're struggling down there now. Communities that were once thriving as Canonsburg is now, are struggling.
Yeah,
they're really struggling. But I think the way you lead and your community can be kind of a beacon of hope, so to speak, for those communities. And it can be done.
It has. And I've met with, I'm also part of Local Government Academy. I'm on their board as well. So I had the opportunity to meet with, I think it was
my friend Joy Ruff.
Yes. Yeah. Had the opportunity to meet with some municipalities and just kind of outline or share with them what we've done here in Canonsburg in terms of redevelopment, blight mitigation, stuff like that, and to be a resource for them.
Sure.
And if not, connect them with someone that can actually help them through their process. So it's been, again, the whole leadership of, I don't want just Canonsburg to do well, but I want the Denoras, the Charleroys, the Monongahelas, the Bell Vernons,
that is
to do well.
That's how leadership works.
Yes, sir.
Right? What's the first priority and responsibility of a leader is to create more leaders, right?
Absolutely.
And that's something that we need. And when you have somebody that's doing it right, you want to shine a light on that. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Well, I appreciate that. And to your point of developing other leaders, I think that's, we can't do it by ourselves. We can't do it alone. So I'm always a proponent, even on the football team. I'm currently right now looking for, other leaders. We call those guys that are under the radar, so to speak.
Sure.
But showing them how they can lead
Right.
Outside of having the title, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's a focus for me. That's whether it's on the football field, whether it's in the community, because we currently have a junior council program on council. Again, it's for younger high school students to get involved in our local government. But again, it's raising up leaders. Hopefully that what they take, what they've learned, that if a position opens up in their community, that they'll run for that position. But that's what it's about. It's always about how can I multiply. I'm always thinking about how can I multiply myself to accomplish some goals, and that's important to me.
And you apply that same focus and that same enthusiasm into your business, your coaching business.
Absolutely.
You have a mastermind group that you lead.
Yep.
Right? Tell me a little bit about that.
I have a mastermind group. We've been meeting for about 2 months now. We meet twice a month for 2 hours. And what I'll do is I'll give them a nugget, and we'll talk through that nugget, and then we'll talk about their opportunities and their their challenges and things that their wins. I call them the wins, right? They're small wins, and we'll talk through that. In addition to that, they get a coaching call with me one-on-one.
Okay.
But the next step is, as we continue to meet, is who can they find that they can pour into? Who is a guy that, and right now, nothing against the ladies. Right now, it's my focus. Right now is more on the men's side of it.
Okay.
And really, through my experience, getting men right will help their families.
Absolutely.
Right. We know moms are
Absolutely.
out there doing their thing. Single moms are doing their thing. But mine is, let's get a hold of these men. Let's father these men and let them know that they have purpose. And let's go. Let's bring somebody else along with them.
And we have we've got a kind of a shadow hanging over us in this part of the world with the opioid problem. We have a serious opioid problem, and I think that has largely been affecting young men more than young ladies. So I think that the focus on that piece, a strong male influence in the home
Yes.
is critically important to that quote nuclear family unit.
Absolutely.
Right? Nobody would ever even try to minimize the role of mom, especially a single mom, but at the end of the day, that father figure, that strong male influence is critically important to the American family as a whole.
I agree 100%. And that's why I do what I do. It's again is if we get these men to realize who they are, their purpose, their destiny, and allow them to walk that out, I believe that we can transform how our communities are, how our families are. I'm telling you, impact a man, you impact a home. You impact you impact a home, you impact his work, you impact a community. So that's really where my focus will continue to be. But I'm always looking for multiplying leaders.
Sure.
Who else can we raise up?
Sure, absolutely, and that's how legacies are built.
Absolutely.
Right. That's how legacies are built. And so let's fast forward 10 years from now. Okay. Let's fast forward 10 years from now. What do you see your business? How do you see your business? Where would you like your business to be in 10 years?
In 10 years, wow.
2033.
2033.
And I'll be coming to visit you because I'll be 73, so I won't be working. But I'll be coming to hang out with you. We can come have coffee and everything. But
I look at 10 years from now, I look at that I'll have multiple masterminds.
Okay.
And I'm talking 50 plus, whether it's throughout Pennsylvania, throughout the United States, throughout the world, but they're all connected. They're all connected somehow.
Okay. I see it.
That's really what I see. And again, it's guys. Hey, I'll pull a buddy in, and I'm gonna talk to a buddy, and just showing them how to reproduce is really it's my DNA. That's what I love doing. So 10 years from now, I'm talking 50 plus masterminds throughout the world.
That's ambitious and very cool at the same time.
And I'm looking at also a coaching academy, possibly a coaching academy, to how to train leaders. I mean, and I'm starting to get in real estate too now, so a little bit of that as well. So yeah,
but I love the vision, and you obviously have the enthusiasm to make it happen. I mean, you have that passion and enthusiasm. Do you feel like right now that you are walking in your purpose?
Oh, no question, without a doubt, I am walking in my purpose and what I'm supposed to do. Each and every single day. Every day I wake up, there's a smile on my face. You got the aches and pains as we get older.
Sure.
But no, I am doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. Is pouring into young men and individuals. Yep. Yes.
Okay. So same 10-year window. How many Whipple Championships are the Big Mac's going to win?
Ooh, 10 years. I would hope 10. I would hope 10. So, but right now we're just going to focus on this year.
There you go.
One game at a time. It's always been one game at a time, one moment at a time. One practice at a time. So it's 10, but
Hey.
Yep.
If you shoot for 10 and get 3,
absolutely.
If you shoot for 1, it's going to be tough. But
right.
Listen, and I talked to the coaches at Bell Vernon where I live, and I have a grandson on that team, and I said to them, the hardest thing about winning a championship is winning another one.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I love the idea, and I just threw that out there. I was messing with you a little bit to a certain extent, but the point I'm making is that enthusiasm and genuine joy for living in what you do goes through everything you do.
Yeah, I can't even describe it, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. I can't describe it. I wake up every day like this connection right here. This is what I love to do, right? Is talk about how, this message will go out broader, right? So somebody's sitting at home right now saying, man, maybe I need a coach, right?
Sure.
Maybe I need someone just to get me unstuck. And if that's what you got from this, great. I love it, because that's exactly what I want to happen.
Right.
So now we can help that individual. But to your point, man, I can't even describe it for you.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Well, let's talk about that for a second.
Sure.
So you get that person sitting out there, and they're going to tune into the podcast because we are the most popular podcast in America, by the way.
All right.
That's our story, and we're sticking to
Okay,
it.
okay.
But so you've got this guy sitting out there, and he's around our age, middle age, and he's got a job, he's got a family, but not where he really wants to be or where he feels in his heart he should be. But the one thing that I think, maybe not the one thing, but the biggest thing that I think keeps those guys from picking up the phone and calling Eric Chandler, is they don't think he can afford it. Right? So when you hear mastermind, when you hear coach, personal coach, things like that, I can't afford that, man. That's too much money. But through our conversations, I know that's not the case.
No, that's not the case at all. I make the coaching affordable for everybody, right? I don't, because I've done some coaching where I've spent some money, right, thousands of dollars, and really didn't feel like I got the value from my money, right?
Sure.
But then there's some coaching sessions that I paid $25 for that I got all kind of nuggets out of, all kind of information.
Dude, you need to be charging more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, seriously.
So for me, it's never, I know my value, right? But I also want to know what people are willing to pay for.
Sure.
Right? So they put the value on what you're willing to pay for.
Right. I'm in kind of the same place when I do public speaking and somebody asks me what I charge, and I have rates, but I'm like, I'm always uncomfortable saying this. Well, how much you want to pay me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to talk about. Here's what's it worth to you?
Yep.
What is this hour that I'm going to spend with your team, with your employees, with your kids? What is that worth to you?
Exactly.
And 99% of the time, whatever they say, I let's do it.
Yep. That's where I'm at.
You're in that same place because it's like, I honestly believe that I come to you and say, listen, Eric, I can't afford $500 a month. I mean, but I really need the support. I really need the coaching. I would think that we could come up with some sort of a compromise.
Absolutely. I do. Yep. And the other piece of that is once guys, for me, well, let me back up. For me, it's transformation, right? It's, I have guys that will say of what we went through, how their life has been transformed, whether it's for family, finances, work, whatever. And that's where I know money, we need money to buy and spend and all that other stuff.
Gotta have.
But for me, it's knowing that I walked a guy through a process and he was transformed at the end of that process. And he's continuing on this path of transformation.
How much does that transformation and knowing that you had a part in it, how much does that mean to you?
Oh man, that means the world to me. That means if you're, I've read Atomic Habits. If you're 1% better, right, 1% better than you were the day before, eventually that's going to add up, right?
Absolutely.
That's going to add up.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden you're finding yourself in this place of, wow, okay, I'm better off than I was last month.
Absolutely.
I'm better off than I was 2 months ago. So that means the world. That means the world to me, man. I get frustrated sometimes when it doesn't happen faster than we want it to.
Oh yeah, we all do. We all do.
But at the end of the day, it's really about life transformation for that whole man. And I focus on probably 7 areas, which is spirituality, emotional, physical, social, your career, finances, and your community. Right? We have to give back to our community.
Absolutely.
But those areas is where I really focus on the well-being and making sure that that you believe in something outside of yourself. That you're aware of your emotions and how to emotion intelligence. Physically, this is one area that most guys forget about. I'm worried about all this other stuff in my life, but if I'm sick and I'm not healthy, then I'm not good for anybody, and I'm not able to provide for my family because I'm homesick or whatever the case is. So I think physically is a portion, and socially, right? Am I able to develop meaningful relationships in your life? The career aspect of it. Are you working more and avoiding hang out, with your kids? Are you working so much that you miss out on the soccer games, the football games,
Well, as men, we're kind of all or nothing creatures.
Yes.
Right? And to your point, there's those guys that they see their visual, right? So they go to the gym, and they go to the gym regularly, and they're dedicated and they're committed and they look great. They're physically fit.
Right.
But they forget about their mental health, their emotional health, their spiritual health.
Yes.
Right? Then you have those guys that, well, yeah, I'm diving into this. I'm on a spiritual journey. I'm, the self-awareness and all these things, and I'm getting my mind in straight and my thoughts and my emotions, and all of a sudden, man, I'm 25 pounds overweight,
Yes.
and I can't walk up a flight of stairs.
Yep.
So that balance,
Yep.
I think, is a critical component, and you focus on that because you look at life holistically. And you look at the man holistically.
Absolutely. We have to, right?
Exactly.
We got to, I don't want to say fix, but it's transformation really comes from inside out, right?
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, it's always about renewing your mind. It's always changing the way you think.
In transformation, the physical part is last.
Yes.
The
Yes.
physical part is last because it's got to come from the inside out.
Absolutely.
And my dad always said something to me, and it's an analogy that I use a lot. He said, everybody focuses on the splash, but the splash doesn't change you. It's the ripple that changes
Absolutely.
you.
Yes.
Right?
Agreed.
And once the splash is gone, the people that ignore the ripple don't change.
Yes.
But that's what changes you. So it takes patience and time because the visual goes away quick.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Stop focusing on the visual, right? The visual will take care of itself, right? I always
Absolutely.
The point about even weight loss, right? If you focus on the weight, then you're going to be upset and probably just want to give up because you didn't focus on, well, did you get up and walk today? Did you eat right today?
Yeah.
Right? If you focus on those two things, right, then the scale, the weight will take care of itself.
It'll take
Right.
care of itself.
Yeah.
And, I think that another part of that as you go, and aging is a thing, right?
It is.
Because it goes back to that patience piece and being holistic. We physically and visually are going to change as we grow older. There's nothing you can do to stop that.
Yep, agreed.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, you're going to get the grays. You're going to lose your hair. Your body changes.
Yes.
I feel physically as good as I did 20 years ago.
Okay.
But I look very different.
Yes.
I weigh exactly the same.
Okay.
Okay. But it's I look 20 years older.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that because I am 20 years older. But if I focus on trying to look like I did then,
Yeah.
okay, then I'm going down a rabbit hole that I shouldn't be at.
Right.
I focus on feeling like I did then, about the physicality of
Sure.
it, right?
Yeah.
And I've been able to accept those aches and pains, when I wake up in the morning, and it takes me a little while longer to stretch, because I'm not trying to look that way. But it's just a matter of it's bringing that balance into your life in every aspect of it.
Absolutely. Again, like you mentioned, it's really focusing on, like, this is where I'm at, accepting where you're at, right? And being okay with getting older.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
a lot of times we don't. I think when we're younger, we always think about getting older, and
Yeah.
then when we're older, we think about getting younger. Right. It's like,
exactly
man,
right.
I remember I'm 12 years old. I can't wait to drive. I can't wait till I'm graduate from school. And
Yeah.
now you're thinking about, man, I remember when I was 25. Man, I want to go back to when I was 25. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but you're absolutely right.
I was thinking the other day about, my early 60s. I was thinking about my early 40s. My wife and I were talking about it, and then it hit me that my oldest daughter's in her early 40s.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, who's this guy? Because
Right.
that's, you get those little reminders. You know what I mean? And but it's. I think that you see what you look at, right? And when you're coaching, if I come to you and you're going to coach me up, right? We're gonna talk. This is how I envision coaching.
Sure.
Okay. So we're gonna talk. You're gonna get to know me, and first thing you'll know is I talk with my hands, right? That's like drives Nick crazy because I'm constantly smacking this ring off the table and moving around and squeaking chairs and everything. But that's just who I am.
Yeah.
Right. I can't sit still and have a conversation because I get into it. Now in the morning when my morning routine, after I do some yoga and stretch and everything, I sit perfectly still.
Okay.
And I don't move. And I meditate, I breathe, that's all I do, right? But if somebody comes in the room, I'm hopping around,
Right.
jumping around, right?
Right.
So, but when you think about how it's not a one size fits all.
No,
because
no,
what works
correct.
for me is not going to work for you. It's not
Right.
going to work for Nick or Will or anybody else.
Right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Coaching is not a one-size-fits-all deal, right? It's always dealing with that person, their personality.
Sure.
It's you get energy by being around people. That's just how you're wired, right?
Right.
So I'm always looking at how people are wired. I'm always thinking about, as I'm talking to the individual, I kind of get a sense of their personality and how to approach them that way. But I also, in addition to my coaching, I'm a Clifton Strength Finders coach. So I'm a certified Clifton Strength Finders coach. So I'll take people through an assessment. It'll give them their top 5 strengths and kind of coach them through their top 5 strengths. And then we'll look at your blind spots and kind of help you manage your blind spots.
Okay.
So
I like that.
So yeah. So coaching is not a one size fits all. It's a different approach. And again, my approach is sitting down, having a conversation with you. I'll call it my initial assessment, if you will. We sit down, have a conversation like, okay, Jim's wired this way, so I know how I can come at Jim and coach Jim versus maybe Nick or someone else. The coaching becomes totally different.
So let me ask you this. So you do masterminds, group masterminds.
Yes.
So let's just say, hypothetically, and you have 10 guys in a mastermind.
Yep,
right?
10 guys. Okay.
So you have 10 different dudes.
10 different dudes.
And every single one of them, you got a Jim, you've got a Nick, you've got all these guys. How do you blend that information that you're going to share so that it hits everybody just right?
Well, great question. I don't know. I just do it. I mean, I can't. I don't know. I'll go in with my plan, right? I'll go in and talk about, these 7 areas. And these 7 areas seem to hit these guys in all different areas. Some may be an emotional, some may be financial, some may be. So within the group, we feed off each other, and everybody else is able to give input based on their experience. So usually in those sessions, I'm facilitating the conversation based on these 7 areas. I'm just facilitating the conversation, and then we'll get deeper in one-on-ones.
Yeah.
So the group session is more of, hey, here's my wins, here's my losses, here's the area I'm dealing with. Okay, I need some help. We'll give input, and then from there, I'll even take that area that they're dealing with is in the one-on-one. We'll go a little bit deeper. In that area and kind of coach them through their process and some of the things that they might want to look for.
Okay,
So,
cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
One thing that I like to do, our podcast and the blog that I do is based on 5 pillars that my father shared with me when I was a kid.
Okay.
And naturally, when he started that, I was a teenager and I was a lot smarter than he was. So it didn't really start to sink in until, kind of the bottom fell out of everything and I crashed and burned. But then I started to really think about it. But anyway, those 5 pillars are live, love, learn, pray, and inspire.
Yeah.
Okay. And he always said that if you do those 5 things every day, you're going to have a pretty good day. Okay. So of those 5 pillars, pick one that kind of hits you and talk to me about it and as to why and how you implement that in your day.
Yeah, I think the one you mentioned is pray, right? So that's the first thing I do. I have a daily devotion that I do every single day. Pray, meditate, and really just center on one is I'm always in this place of thankfulness, right? My attitude, I call it the attitude of gratitude, where I woke up this morning that I'm thankful for being able to wake up in my right mind. And then I'll go through, I'll read some Bible, the scriptures in the Bible I'll read, and then I'll pray, and then really outline, okay, what is the goal for today? What do I want to accomplish for today? And then from there, I'm able to, just focus from there. So prayer for me is the biggest in my life. And without it, I don't know. I mean, that's what I use even when I go through difficult times or any big decisions. That's for me is where I go to. That's my go-to. Yeah,
I agree. I'm right there with you because I think, to stay prayed up, so to speak, in bad times, struggles, and good times.
Absolutely.
Whenever you're succeeding. So, well, listen, my brother, I love you. This has been a great conversation, exactly as I thought it would be. We're going to have to do it again real soon.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me, Jim, and the best to you on your podcast and everything else you do.
Yep, say hi to my mom, because I know that's the one person that I know is watching.
Hi, Jim's mom.
Thanks, brother. I
You're
appreciate you.
welcome.
But we'll do it. It's a big responsibility, Will. You got to come over here.